I became a bus driver for a local school. I was given a set of rules to follow when on the road. Part 3. Part 1 Link 2 Link 4 Link. The truck slowed all the way down to 20 mph 30 km per hour. Forcing me to do the same. I knew the driver was planning something. But I still had no idea what was going on. My questions were soon answered as a bright light was reflected off the left mirror, darting around the front of the bus looking for my eyes. But with the 40-foot 12-meter trailer behind the truck, this made the precision required for hypnosis incredibly difficult. It quickly realized this wasn't going to work and stopped. As I followed the truck, we brainstormed ideas on how to defeat this thing, even citing past experiences with large vehicles like this one. But to my right, above the forest, I saw something unnatural. The mansion. It was at least 2 floors taller than the forest. It was also very large horizontally as well. I don't know how to describe the building other than saying it reminded me of a woodland mansion from Minecraft. With the way it was surrounded by forest and the dimensions, the mansion gave me an idea. Hey guys. Are the mansion owners allied with the creature driving the truck? Don't think so, replied Angela. I rarely see them interact. And if they do, it's usually hostile. Though they are not as aggressive as they are to us. Oh good. You're going to make the mansion owners attack the truck, aren't you? I heard Tommy say. Exactly. Well, just get as far away from the truck as you can so they don't see you too, replied Tommy. All right. I turned off my lights once we were about 500 feet 150 meters away from the mansion. The truck driver looked back at us through the mirror for a few seconds. The light illuminated the cab, as if the driver was trying to say, I know you're still back there, idiot. As we slowly approached the mansion, I let the bus slow down so I could gain some distance from the truck. I didn't touch the air brakes to avoid being heard by the truck driver. It may have known I was still behind it, but it didn't know how far away I was. Once I was about 200 feet 60 meters away. The bus was down to 2 miles per hour 3 kilometers per hour. I pulled the parking brake, causing the bus to come to a halt silently. The truck was oblivious to what I was doing and was still going forward, very slowly for some reason. It seemed that it was trying to stall me until reinforcements arrived. We all got out our sunglasses to protect our eyes from what was about to happen, ready to put them on at any moment. The moment the truck's light struck the road in front of the mansion, it happened. For the split second I saw the light at full force. My vision was already being obstructed by spots, as if I've been staring at the sun for several minutes. Even with the sunglasses, it still bothered my eyes to look at it. The light swarmed the truck like bees that had their hive disturbed. While the owners were distracted, I put the bus into reverse and floored it. The sound of the engine got the attention of the truck driver, but it was unable to turn around or reverse very quickly due to the trailer. So it ended up having to go forward to flee the owners. Now that the truck was gone, I went back into drive and continued down the road. Though not very quickly to not catch up with the truck. I slowed down even more so I could get a better look at the now vacant building. The front of the mansion had wooden walls with a concrete base. There was a hole in the front with many equally sized rooms with one window across the walls. Each room was illuminated by light bulbs on a chandelier. The rooms had a wide variety of contents. Some looked natural. Some looked weird. And some were disturbing. One room looked like a kitchen. One looked like a bedroom. One was almost completely filled with a pile of wires. One was a prison cell. One had tens of black cats inside. And one had a floor covered in spikes with doll heads on them. How original. The room full of cats caused me to stop the bus. Why is there a room full of cats? I asked the students. A room full of what? They have cats, Tommy replied, who was in the seat directly behind me. I don't think we've ever gotten a good look at the mansion before. This is the first time someone managed to distract the owners, another student replied. I pulled the parking brake and got out of my seat. I want to investigate the cat room, I told the students. Go to the window. But don't enter the mansion. Just don't, the same student from earlier replied. And park the bus right next to the window, Angela added. Wait, hold on. What is your name? I asked the anonymous student. Oh. I am Joseph. All right. Good to know. I then did what Joseph said. I positioned the bus so that the doors were right next to the window of the cat room. I got out and peered into the room. Cats everywhere. Very malnourished and wading through their own urine. There was an island literally made of shit in the center. This is definitely not okay. I grabbed a rock and smashed the window several times before the window split in half. I could have used the gun, but I didn't want to waste any bullets or attract any unwanted attention. Tommy, Angela, and 2 other students came out to help. Once the glass pane split, we kept hitting in a concentrated spot until we created a hole large enough for the cats to get through. As soon as we pointed this out to them, the cats rushed out to freedom. Whatever they were going to get themselves into in this forest was a better fate than whatever the owners were doing with them in there. The wire room was 1 room away from the cat room, with the prison cell in between the two. I walked over to investigate. I could probably get a few $1,000 for all that copper, I pointed out to the students. Will we get any of it? Tommy asked. I'll give each of you some for helping me retrieve it. But I'll take most of it as compensation for what I had to put up with today. 20 an hour isn't cutting it. I also had the rest of the students come out to help me with stealing the wires, promising a small portion of what I am going to get for them. I broke the window with the rock and made a small hole the size of a fist. You know, it would be a lot easier if someone goes inside the mansion and... No. Every student replied at once. Okay. Never mind then. We continued bashing the window until the hole was big enough to climb through. We managed to load all the wires into the bus before the owners returned. Even if they did return before we were done, we had already set up a place to hide. The students then organized the wires once we were already on the road. As I was about to arrive at stop 5, I saw the owners returning from their mission. I quickly put on my sunglasses as I floored the bus and blindly drove through the light. However, the owners were not interested in me and continued their journey home. It seems that they only attack those who disturb them, and somehow driving by their mansion does that. They still had no idea that I freed their cats and stole their wires. And even when they find out, they'll have no idea who did it. I arrived at stop 5 a minute later and dismissed Joseph and 4 other students. This bus stop was similar to stop 4, with very similar houses as well. I still had 7 students in the bus. As I skipped stop 2 and 4, I knew what I had to do. Rule 13: the true end of this road merges with a larger road at a 3-way stop. If any students are still in the bus once you've passed all 5 stops, go back to the front of the road and try again. Keep doing this until all students have reached their stops. Or if you get too tired to continue. I signed as I left the stop. You know you're going to have to drive down this road again, right? Tommy asked. Yeah. I know. Hey. At least this time you'll be more prepared. And you know that there's a fake bus stop between stops 1 and 2. And you know that the mansion is between stops 4 and 5. This doesn't refresh every time you go down the road, unlike the Rule 3 road and the dead end. Alright. I'll go back and do another round. As I continued down the road, I found the semi-truck, or what was left of it. I parked the bus next to the truck to get a better look at it. The truck seemed to have crashed straight into a tree instead of turning for the curve. The trailer's walls were partially melted, causing the roof to collapse onto the burning wooden crates inside. The body of the truck was completely destroyed, with only the chassis and engine block still being recognizable. In the melty remains of the cab, I saw the charred skeleton of the driver. It's terrifying to think that could have been me. You are absolutely insane for stealing from them, dude, but kudos for being successful for now. Despite the absolutely massive pile of wires, there were 12 of us there. So our operation only lasted less than 5 minutes. And we had a backup plan if they returned before we left. I didn't mention that Angela had a lot of experience with the mansion owners and approved of my idea. That being said, no bus driver in her 11 years of going to this school has ever done that. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Dude, amazing and smart work. But also risky. Those mansion owners give me the creeps. No, curiosity freed the cats. True. I was thinking, maybe the truck driver and the homeowners just follow their own set of rules like you do in order to survive. Wait. What do the mansion owners look like? Regular people. Man. And thanks for saving the cats. I run a cat shelter and this brings peace to my heart. I don't know. But they seem to be giant fireflies with light so bright that I can't see the body. Hooray for those cats. I became a bus driver for a local school. I was given a set of rules to follow when on the road. Part 4. Part 1 Link 3 Link Part 5 Link. Holy shit, a student muttered. Tommy and I got out of the bus and walked to the side of the truck to further investigate what the hell happened here. Looking at the vague remains of the truck, I determined that the skeleton was in the bed at the back of the cab. I theorized that the owner's blinding lights caused the driver to be unable to see the road and was therefore unaware of the curve. After the crash, the driver hid in the back of the truck in the fetal position as the owners brightened their lights to the point that the heat literally melted the steel body of the truck. This, combined with the fuel tanks that were set on fire, burned the driver to the point where it was just a skeleton. Are we looting this too? Tommy asked. I don't think there's anything valuable that's still intact. I am just investigating what the hell happened here. Look, man. I am just as horrified as you are. I've heard of disappearances relating to the mansion owners, but I've never seen what happened to them. The rules were just updated accordingly. We returned to the bus and continued down the road. I found the end of the road and made a left turn onto Route 3, intending to go back to the beginning of Old Military Road. Not long after I got on the road, I heard a student scream. What the foo? She was interrupted by her own choking. George. Stop the ducking bus now. Tommy instructed me as if I wasn't already doing that. I got out of my seat and looked back to see several students fighting a wire that was strangling the student. The wires had come to life and were crawling around like snakes. We evacuated the bus and I locked the doors, hoping they couldn't unlock them. Once we were outside, I freed the student from the wire that was choking her. I then inspected that wire and saw the copper bending and contorting on its own. The wires were fiddling around in the driver's seat, but they couldn't start the bus because I had the keys. Now what? A student asked. I could call 911. I replied. And what are you going to tell them? That you are being attacked by copper snakes? Tommy asked rhetorically. I paused for a moment before I had an idea. I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? There are these snake things in my bus. I managed to trap them all inside, but I can't get rid of them. And what's your address, sir? I am on Route 3. Near the spot where Old Military Road merges onto the highway. Okay, sir. We have sent animal control to deal with the situation. Can you stay on the line for me? Yeah. I can do. I was interrupted by the engine roaring to life. How? I yelled. Sir. What is going on? The bus accelerated and drove into the guardrail on the side of the road at an angle, and was pushed back onto the road by the guardrail. The bus continued accelerating as fast as it could while scraping against the guardrail to guide it down the highway. What? The snakes just hijacked the bus. Tommy spoke for me. The operator tried her best to stay professional, but she couldn't avoid letting out a chuckle about how ridiculous this situation was. Okay. We're also going to deal with that as well. What direction is the bus going? It's going east, but is scraping against the guardrail to guide it down the road. All right, sir. We've dispatched several units to close the road until the runaway vehicle is stopped. Do you need a ride? Yes, madam. But there's 8 of us. I am a school bus driver. That's fine. We can dispatch 3 units to take you to your destination. Oh, okay. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. A few minutes later, 3 police cars arrived. I told the officers to take us back to the bus yard. As we drove down the highway, we found the bus. The wires had figured out how to use the steering wheel, but still had no idea what they were doing. They were swerving all over the road attempting to not scrape against the guardrail. I don't think they had any other perception of reality outside of touch. Multiple police cruisers and even a SWAT truck were chasing the bus at this point. It seemed that police from nearby towns were called in to help with this pursuit. Once we passed the bus, the officer in the vehicle I was in interviewed me as we traveled to our destination. Sir, how did these snakes get into your bus? I was at a bus stop when they somehow snuck in and tried to choke one of my students. And we had to evacuate the bus so I could free the student from the snake that was strangling her. I partially lied. Why did you and your students evacuate the bus? I didn't want to be attacked by snakes as I fought the snake that was strangling one of my students. There were like 50 of them. So if I stayed in there, all of us would have probably been strangled to death. We arrived at the bus yard a few minutes later. I thanked the officers and went to the guard. The officers then turned around and drove back to help pursue the bus. Hey guard. It's me again. The guard paused whatever he was doing on his phone and studied me for a moment. Oh. Hey George. Where's the bus? It was stolen by copper snakes. Yeah. Of course they did. These jobs are weird as duck. Wait. You too? Yeah. Come in. I want to show you something. The guard unlocked the thick steel door and invited us in. The shack had a desk against the back wall and an office chair facing the table while also being next to the window on the wall to its left above the desk was a wall of 6 monitors on the back wall, each displaying the input of a camera somewhere in the yard. The desk had a laptop on it in front of 2 of the monitors, though those monitors can be seen if the laptop is closed. The shack was large enough for all of us to fit inside, though it was still a bit cramped. He picked up the paper I saw him look at when I first got here. Rules for Frederiksen bus yard guarding. You must follow these rules when guarding the bus yard. We cannot ensure your safety if you break any of these rules. 1. Only the following people are permitted to enter the bus yard: Ernest Frederiksen, Anna Evergreen, Harry Williams, George Redwood. If someone arrives that identifies as someone not on this list, hold them at gunpoint until they leave or you have to shoot them to defend yourself. 2. If a bus or other vehicle in the yard starts its engine for no reason, close the metal shades on the window and wait until it turns off. It may attempt to accelerate, but all buses and vehicles should be in park, so this won't work. Do not under any circumstances make your presence known until the engine stops. 3. If one of the monitors starts showing static, smash it with the crowbar we've provided for you if possible. If you are currently experiencing Rule 2 at the same time, unplug the power strip. All the monitors are powered by and get as far away from the monitor as you can without exiting the shack. Keep track of which monitor was showing static earlier, such as putting a sticky note on it. Once Rule 2 ends, smash the monitor before turning the rest of them back on. 4. At any time, a man may show up thinking your shack is a snack bar. Give him something to eat, or you'll be the snack. If you cannot give him a snack due to Rule 2, call us and continue hiding until we've dealt with the situation. 5. If the sun turns red, don't look at the sky for a prolonged period of time. You won't die, but the red sun will literally destroy your retinas if you look at it for more than a few seconds. The same may happen if you look at the sky, though it will take longer. Both of these are safe to look at through a camera, and pictures taken of the sky or sun cannot harm you, but they can damage the camera similar to how they can damage your eyes. 6. Don't sleep on the job. Just don't. If you get too tired to continue your shift, alert us and we'll send someone to take your shift. Only leave once your replacement has arrived. Do not trust your peripheral vision if this happens. 7. If you see a shadow figure roaming the nearby area, Pretend it doesn't exist. Do not let it know it has physically entered our world. 8 at around 3:00 a.m. Your mother may show up and ask you about your job. She'll look like she does in the present. But if she's dead, she'll look like she did shortly before her death. If you're adopted, your biological mom will show up and act like she knows you. If this happens, pretend you don't know her and tell her to get out. This still happens if he's transgender. But he'll behave like a mom despite being a man. After I read it, the students took turns reading the rules for themselves. As we were doing this, my bus showed up. It took a while to get here as it kept hitting things along the way. The bus was still being chased by several police cruisers and the SWAT truck. We got out of the shack and watched as the wires completely ignored the nearby curve and drove into a tree. They then turned the steering wheel as far right as it can go before reversing into the same tree again. The bus accelerated forward, swerving all over the place as it drove across the road and right through the fence, only stopping when it struck one of the buses. The wires paused for a moment before they were about to continue their reckless journey. However, the hood was still open from when the engine was disabled by the creatures from Old Military Road. So one of the officers pulled out a shotgun and shot the engine repeatedly. The most American thing I've ever seen. This actually worked as one of the bullets sliced the serpentine belt, causing the bus to lose several important functions. The wires reversed back onto the road in a straight line as they no longer had powered steering. It continued driving, but couldn't do much due to lack of powered steering. And the engine eventually overheated and stopped right before it struck that same tree again, this time causing it to fall over and collapse onto the roof of the bus. As the wires were trying to figure out what was going on, the officers investigated the bus, the guard, the students, and I got closer now that the bus could no longer run us over. The officer that interviewed me earlier saw us approach the bus. "You call these things snakes?" he asked me rhetorically. "If I told you my bus was stolen by giant copper worms, you would not have believed me," I replied. "Oh. Yeah. Good point. So, now what?" "I don't know. They seem stuck in there, so we might just leave them in there and tow the bus." I was about to reply when the officer's radio received a message. "Philip, an armored truck got on the road and is going westbound towards your location." "Sarah, weren't you blocking one of the entrances to the road?" "Yes. But the vehicle drove over my car and got on the road. It's that big. I think it's one of those marauders from that Top Gear episode." The rest of the officers were now gathered around Philip to hear what Sarah was saying. I wasn't in the car though. I was telling the driver why the road was closed when he drove over my car right after I told him why. "All right, copy that." Philip ended the call. "Yeah. You know what she said. Use your vehicles and the bus to form a barricade. This won't stop the truck, but it'll delay us long enough to open fire on it." The truck eventually showed up. And it was indeed a black marauder. The marauder was being chased by even more police cars. A police helicopter was hovering far above us now. The car barricade would stand no chance against the marauder. "You must have had it with those mother-ducking wires on that mother-ducking bus." Wires on a bus. Why does that sound so familiar? Why are the cops not freaking out and acting like snakes hijacking a bus is just another day at work? They are. Aren't you and the guard violating some of your rules with the police? Plot twist: JD Creeper is the truck driver. Copper snake stole my ducking bus. Can't have shit in Detroit.